Welcome to part 2 of the Module 11 Skills video. Let's continue our work using Form Owner by combining conditional structures in the Forms class module. With this conditional, we're going to test that a zip code belongs to the state of Wyoming. The first two numbers of a zip code indicate the state. In the Forms Before Update event, we'll first test that both the state and zip fields are not null using an if conditional. Then we'll extract the first two numbers from the zip field. Using a case statement, we'll check if the state equals Wyoming. If it does, and the first two numbers of the zip don't equal 82, we'll use a message box to let the user know they've provided an incorrect zip code. From there, we'll undo the record update and set the zip field with the focus on that form. Using VBA, this is a way of validating the correct data is being entered. Here in Design View, we're going to go to the form selector, and for the event we want to select Before Update and open the code builder. From here, of course, we need our error handling, any one of the procedures that are within here. Copy the entire code, and let's get rid of that, and now we can start. So the first thing that we need to do is create a variable, and to create a variable we're going to go dim zip first to and type as, and then you will get a drop down open, and we want this as string. So once you've typed str, you can hit the tab key and it will autocomplete. Now here we're using what's called a variable, and variables are used to store a value. We're going to store the first two numbers of a zip code. In this case, the field itself is short text, so again we need to store it as a string value. And with that variable, zip first to, we'll be able to check and see if it equals 82. Let's start coding. First thing we need to do is test to make sure that the zip and the state fields have values within them. So we'll use the not is null within the if. So once we're past this point, it will continue to run. We have values in both the state and zip. From here, we're going to set our variable zip first to using a left function. The way a left function works, you first specify the field that you want to extract from, in this case zip, and the number next to it will indicate how many places you want to extract from the left. With this function, we're setting zip first to equal to the first two values in a zip field. So if it's 85616, it'll come out as 85. From here now, we will go and set up a case statement. We're going to use the state field in our case, and if it's equal to Wyoming, then we will test to see if 82 is indeed in the zip first to variable. With our case, if it comes back as Wyoming, we're now going to test to make sure the zip code is equal to 82, but we're going to do it in the opposite way. If it's not equal to 82, they have the wrong zip code in here. If the first two values are not 82, they have the wrong zip code in here. So we're going to first cancel the update, and we're going to do that using a docmd function. So docmd, and once you click dot, you will see all of the options that are available. So you click dot, start typing in C, and there's only one A. That's the very first tab to autocomplete it. Now I'll talk more about docmd later, but here again we're just canceling the record update. Next thing, we want to provide a message box, letting the user know they have an incorrect zip code here. So a message box, type in msg box and click space, and from here we'll type in our message. Next, we're going to undo what was done. To do that, we go me dot, start typing in undo, and there it appears. Tab to autocomplete it. And then we will set the zip code with the focus. To do this, type in zip and then a dot, and then start typing in set, and set focus will appear. From here we just need to close our if statements and our case. Let's go ahead and compile this, make sure that we don't have any errors. Let's test the code. Closing the VBE window and then going to Form View. First thing I want to do to test it is with this first record, I'm going to type it in as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, tab out. And as soon as I tab through all my controls, the message box appears telling me, hey, the Wyoming zip codes for our service area must start with 82. This is the state of Wyoming. Once we click OK, it undoes the actual addition of that record, and you notice that the zip code returns back to what it was before. VBA is a great way to validate data entry. This way you can catch errors before it ever gets added to the underlying table. I use it all the time for this purpose. Let's create a procedure that uses a label, very similar to the function we examined in the Part 1 video. This label will be displayed based on the value in a field. The only difference is that instead we're going to use an if-else conditional structure instead of a case select structure. For this procedure, we'll use the form visits and invoice. We'll add a label that displays archive if paid if the value in the visit date field is before January 1st, 2017. If the date is after January 1st, then the message won't be displayed. Opening form visits and invoices in design view, we're going to add our label and we'll place it right next to visit date. I'll place it here, and under the All tab, I'm going to get my label and I'm going to call this label message. I'll type it directly in there, so that ends up being the caption, and I'm also going to change the name of it to label message. Now we're going to add the procedure to the form's onCurrent event. And recall, onCurrent is once you select a new record in the form, that is the onCurrent event that occurred. Clicking onto the form selector and going to the event, I will select the onCurrent event here. Select the code builder. Once again, I'm going to get some error handling, so I will copy out an entire procedure there, function in this case. And again, since it was a function, I need to change this to a sub, and now I can start working on the code itself. First thing I'm going to do is add some comments. For this, I will type in. Now we'll start coding our if conditional. With dates, when dealing in code, you always have to surround any date values with the pound signs. So first off, I will say if visit date is before January 1st, 2017, then I will perform my action. First thing I'll do is set my visibility property to true. I will set my caption to archive if paid, and I will then set my forecolor in that visit date field to red. Now, if the visit date is after January 1st, I just need to include an else. I'll first set the message property to false, and I can do that really easily by copying this one and set that to false here. And then I'll set the forecolor for visit date to VB black. And finally, I will close my if statement with end if. After the coding, I want to compile it, make sure there are no errors, and now to test the form. Closing the VB editor, and then going to form view. Here is a date that's prior to the 1st of January, and archive if paid is showing. As I cycle through the records, the onCurrent will catch. Going down, we're almost there, and there we're into January and beyond the 1st, and our label no longer shows, and the font color is showing as black. So that's how to use a label and an if conditional within a form. Now let's get to some fun stuff. The book fails to mention an extremely useful VBA function, the do command, DOCMD in programming language. The do command is basically a macro function contained within VBA coding. All of the macro functions are available within the do command function. With the do command function, you can open forms, close forms, go to a new record on a form, and literally dozens of other functions as well. Here I'm going to demonstrate how to create a custom navigation form that opens several forms and reports within the veterinary database. Within the database, whenever you open a form, you should also include navigation that closes the form that was initially open to begin with. Close it and then reopen the navigation form so you're able to go back and forth through the database. Let's start by creating a new form called Form Menu. I'll close this form, save my changes, and then create a new form in Form Design, save it as Form Menu, and now we'll create some buttons for the form. Once again, you want to make sure the control wizard is not selected. So I'll place my first button in, and I want to give meaningful names to all the buttons that I use because they're referenced in VBA code as well as caption. So for this button, I'm going to have it open the form owner, and I'll call this Add Owner. And rather than adding buttons one by one, what I'm going to do is simply copy and paste 3 more buttons and change the name and captions for this. For the next one, I will call this button visit, and this one will add a visit. This button will open a report, so I'll name it button open report, and the caption will be open report. And the last button will be a close button. This will close the database. So I'll call this button exit, and I'll name it exit DB. For the first two, we're going to open forms, and we're going to set those forms to a new record. And finally, we're going to close form menu so it doesn't stay open in the background. So under add owner, for its event, its on-click event, I'll open the code builder. Here I'm going to include some error handling code, so I'll open up another form and copy the exit sub portions of it, and I'll paste it right in here, and I'll remove all the code. Now to open a form, type in docmd dot and start typing in open F, there's form, tab to complete, and when you hit the space bar, it will show you the requirements for this. For an open form on a docmd, all we really need is the form name, and that's what we'll use. So this will be form owner, and make sure that you surround the form name with quotations. Next thing we're going to do is go to a new record. So typing in docmd dot go to record. Autocomplete, and just like macros, we're going to have to specify what it is. First off, it's going to be a data form, and then make sure, because this one has additional what are called arguments, we separate them with commas. Object name, again, it's going to be form owner, and then another comma, and this is where we specify what record to go to. So ACN, AC new record, and that's all we need for this one. Then finally docmd dot, and we want to close form menu. So we'll say close, and there is no close form, so tab to autocomplete close, and with the space now we can select what it is we want to close. So start typing in ACF, there's AC form, and now using a comma we specify what form it is. So this one will be form menu that we close. And there we go. We've got all of our do commands that we need to handle this one on-click event. Compile it and close our VBE, and let's go to our button add visit, add its on-click, and rather than type all of that back in, let's just copy it from this button event and change some values. So we paste that, and from here we're going to open up form visit instead of form owner. So we can just select form owner, change owner to visit, and then copy this entire form visit and paste it where form owner was in the go to record command, and we're done. That's it. We'll debug that code and add our code for our open report. And for this one, we're going to open up report invoices by items. Once again, going to the code builder, I'm going to copy the error handling code into it and just remove the do commands that are going on here. Is open report, and this one will be report invoices by item, and adding a comma we can select the view, and we're going to open this in preview, so we'll select AC preview, and our code is complete for this. Compiling the code, we now add one last bit of code to close our database. We select our exit DB button, go to its code builder, we'll copy this code into it, and we'll change this do command to docmd dot type in Q, you want quit, and that will close the database. With that, our form menu coding is complete. Before moving on and testing it, I'm going to make a few form property changes. Closing the VBE window, I want to change the form's caption first off, so it's not showing form menu, and I will specify this as a main menu. I'll also add a title to the form. I'll remove the layout and change it from form menu to main menu. Remember too, this does not have a record source, so this is an unbound form. The use of record selectors and navigation buttons isn't needed, so we'll set these to no. and we'll disable the shortcut menu. To demonstrate another type of form that we haven't used yet, we're going to change our main menu form to one that looks and appears more like a message box. And to do this, we use the pop-up property. We'll change that to yes. Now let's test our form. First off, let's save our changes and select our form view. And here our main menu form opens up, again, much like a message box. And we haven't set any real properties for it, so you can resize it. You can set it so that it doesn't resize, but for this one, we'll leave it as is and continue to test. Selecting Add Owner, our main menu closes and Form Owner opens. Testing Add Visit, it too closes and Form Visit opens. Testing the Open Report function. Once we click Open Report, you'll notice the report does open, but we did not close Form Menu. And really, there is no way to close Form Menu and be able to reopen it over on a report. You can't add a button to a report. So in this case, the report opens, but our menu form stays open. Once again, we can't close the form because we can't add a button to a report to reopen the menu. We're going to go back into Design View and turn off the pop-up property for the form. We're also going to add a close button to both Form Owner and Form Visit to complete the navigation ability of this database. The close buttons on those two forms will of course close the forms, but they'll also reopen Form Menu, so the navigation will be complete. Close our forms and reports that are open, and let's open all three forms in Design View, starting with Form Owner, Form Visit, and Form Menu. On Form Menu, we're just going to change the pop-up from yes to no. On Form Visit, we'll add a close button, and I'll place this in the form header. Give it a meaningful name, Button Close, with a caption of Close, and move over to the Event OnClick property for this and open up its code builder. I'm going to jump over here to Form Menu and grab some code from it. Moving back to Form Visit, I'll paste the code in, and I will change my do command here to docmd.openForm, and the form that will open is Form Menu. And we will close this form, so docmd.close AC form, comma, form visit, and our code for this is done. But while we're here, let's copy it, because we'll use this one in our other form. Compile it, close and save our changes to Form Visit, and repeat the process for Form Owner. Add a button here, name it, give it a caption. Go to its event, use the code builder, and then Control V to paste the code in. And the only thing we need to change here is Form Visit. We'll change this to Form Owner. Once again, we'll compile it, close the VB window, close Form Owner, save the changes, and now we can finally test Form Menu. Changing it back to regular form, now it's not showing as a pop-up. Testing the Add Owner button, it of course closes Form Owner, closes Form Menu and opens Form Owner. We close Form Owner using the button, it takes us back to main menu. Add Visit, same thing, close brings us back. Open Report, now our report opens and our main menu isn't blocking anything, so we can view the report itself. And then finally, we can test the Quit function by clicking Exit Database. And as you see, it closed the database. And there it is. We've created custom navigation in this database using strictly VBA. That'll wrap up part 2 of the Module 11 Skills video. As always, if you need to review any of the material, rewind back to those sections. Another helpful hint, as was pointed out with the subtitles earlier, take screenshots of the code so you don't have to rewind back and you have something to reference.